Manchester City didn't overwhelm Fulham. They timed them. On paper, this reads like a routine 3-0. In reality, it was a 15-minute surgical strike wrapped inside 75 minutes of risk management. City didn't dominate in a chaotic, relentless way. They didn't rack up 25 shots. They didn't suffocate Fulham for 90 minutes. What they did was compress their superiority into a decisive first-half window, then deliberately remove volatility from the game. The first 20 minutes were controlled but patient. Fulham sat in their mid-block, tried to stay compact, and hoped to survive transitions. Then City accelerated, not in tempo, but in decision speed. One mistake punished, one vertical incision exploited, one channel opened and attacked twice. By the time Haaland made it 3 before halftime, the contest had shifted from competitive to procedural. The second half wasn't dominance, it was administration. This game was about the half spaces. Fulham set up in a 4-2-3-1, compact, narrow, protecting central lanes. On paper, it's the correct blueprint against City. In practice, it only works if your midfield can decide quickly. City's structure, nominally 4-3-3, morphed into the familiar 2-3-5 in possession. Rodri anchored. The fullbacks created width or stepped inside. But the real pressure came from interior rotations between Foden, O'Reilly, Bernardo, and the left side overload involving Ait-Nouri and Semenyo. Fulham weren't stretched by crosses. They were stretched by hesitation. Each time their midfield pivot delayed a half second, City attacked the inside channel. The second goal exemplified it. One clean progression through the seam, one delayed runner, one controlled finish. City didn't batter the door down. They waited for it to open slightly and walked through. The first goal wasn't just a goal, it altered Fulham's permission structure. At 0-0, Fulham could remain passive, patient, disciplined. At 1-0, they felt compelled to show something. That subtle psychological shift pulled their lines a fraction higher, their distances a fraction wider. That's all City need. The second goal followed not because Fulham collapsed dramatically, but because they adjusted emotionally before they adjusted structurally. And at 2-0, the match stopped being about tactics and started being about damage limitation. Here's the part that won't be discussed loudly. The underlying numbers don't scream total annihilation. City's overall shot volume wasn't extreme. Fulham weren't pinned for the entire game. In fact, the second half was low event, almost flat. This wasn't relentless dominance. It was controlled variance. City concentrated their quality into a short, decisive window, then deliberately drained the game of randomness. Fewer risks, fewer transitions, fewer open moments. That's not thrilling, it's mature, and maturity wins leagues. For Fulham, the uncomfortable truth is harsher. Their structure doesn't collapse under pressure, it slows under pressure. And against elite teams, slowness is fatal. For Manchester City, this match is less about the 3 goals and more about the method. They showed they can win without chaos. They can rotate. They can protect energy. They can finish early and manage late. That's title-run behavior. For Fulham, this reinforces a familiar identity issue. Against the league's top tier, they don't impose problems. They wait to solve them. And waiting against City is a strategy that expires quickly. The bigger implication? If City start combining early decisiveness with second-half control consistently, the title race becomes psychological before it becomes mathematical. Manchester City didn't look spectacular. They looked efficient. And that's often more dangerous. So here's the real question. If City can win comfortably without looking brilliant, what happens when they start looking brilliant again?